Call the meeting to order for the City of Oxnard Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, do you have anything you'd like to say, comment?
Yes, thank you, Chair Perello. The public may view the meeting from home on Spectrum Channel 10, Frontier Channel 35, or at youtube.com/Oxnard News. Video recordings of the meeting are typically available online following the meeting at the city's website. The public may participate in the meeting in the following ways. 1. Attend the meeting in person at 305 West 3rd Street, and submit a speaker card to the city clerk. And 2, submit a request to speak remotely by no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting by using the form available at www.oxnard.org/citymeetings. And 3, submit an email to cityclerk@oxnard.org or contact the city clerk's office at 805-385-7803 no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting. To provide public comment during the meeting, please dial 888-475-4499 and enter the meeting ID and passcode located on the agenda. Public comments will be taken following the announcement of the item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next, we'll have roll call, posting of the agenda, and a flag salute. And City Clerk Dye, would you lead us in the flag salute when it comes to that time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Member Zaragoza?
Here.
Member Valenzuela?
Present.
Chair Perello?
Here.
We have a quorum, and the agenda for this meeting was posted in the City Hall Bulletin Board on October 1st, 2024.
Thank you. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on items not on the agenda?
Chair Perello, we have no public speakers virtually or in person.
Okay. Apparently we do have apparently one, I've just been given a hand. Magdalena Molina, public comments on non-agenda items for the Public Works Committee.
She is currently not available.
Okay, all right. When the meeting ends, we'll take a shot and see if she's,
That's yours. That's yours.
The first item on the agenda is consent agenda. The City Clerk Department, the subject approval of the minutes, the recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee approve the minutes for the September 24th, 2024 regular meeting as presented. Are there any comments on the minutes, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perello, no.
Okay. My committee members, do we have any changes, additions, or suggestions?
I don't, sir. Need a motion?
Do recommendation?
Move the approval.
Second.
Okay. Please, are we voting roll call, Madam Clerk, or roll call?
Yes, we're going to do roll call.
Okay, please kick the vote.
Okay, Member Valenzuela?
Aye.
Member Zaragoza?
Aye.
Chair
Perella?
Yes,
Motion carries 3-0.
thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, reports. D1, Public Works Department. Subject, annual purchase order with Badger Meters Incorporated for advanced metering infrastructure, capable water meters. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the purchasing agent to execute annual purchase orders with Badger Meter Incorporated for a total amount not to exceed value of $975,000 through June 30th, 2029 for the supply of advanced metering infrastructure capable water meters. There is a video presentation due to the voters' decision. There will not be something that's available on Measure M, and it's a good video presentation. Hope the public saw it. Are there any comments from the public on this item, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perello, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, committee members, do we have any questions or concerns you want to bring to Mr. Beaman?
Mr. Chair, are these meters the ones that are read automatically?
Yes, good evening, committee. My name is Tim Beeman, Assistant Director of Public Works, overseeing water and wastewater. And yes, the short answer is the purpose behind this particular report is these meters are capable with the meters that we're installing as part of our overall AMI project. And so what wasn't covered in the scope of the AMI projects are new developments that are coming in, ADUs, things of that nature. And instead of putting in the old style meters or something that we, which we don't even stock anymore, these meters are capable with our new automatic read
So
system.
replace it with new meters anyway?
This isn't actually, this is for all new development.
For new development.
Correct. The replacement is part of our overall AMI project. And so yes, they're a cellular read system and it sends a read automatically every month.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Committee Development. Okay, I appreciate the report. The staff report indicated that the Water Division receives a level of reimbursement for water, beg your pardon, the Water Division receives a level of reimbursement for meter purchases for development projects through fees issued through the development approval process. These new meters that are going to be coming in, number one, we're getting this particular style so it blends with the style that we have. We're not going to have peaches and apples. We're going to have all peaches or all apples. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second thing is, when a developer comes in and there's fees involved with the development, the city will be reimbursed for the cost of these meters through those development fees?
Yes, sir. So that is run by the Community Development Department, but I do have the knowledge on it. So when they do submit their application for an ADU or new development, they do pay a fee for the service itself and the meter. That includes the installation of the service and the meter itself.
Okay, thank you. The last questions, and thank you for the answers. The last question, these are for developments coming on board that have been in the pipeline, they're going to be coming up, and it states on the page 10 of the document, we anticipate an estimated 636 meters that are capable to be read, the type that we're going to be buying. Do we have a time frame when those meters will be needed? Because this contract goes out to 2029.
So what we do is we do regularly meet with the planning group and community development, and they give us, hey, this is what's coming down the pipeline, this is what's currently in plan check, and that gives us a rough idea of what's going to be coming up. And so we do get periodic updates from them, and that's what we base that number on. So it could be anywhere from within the next 12 months is generally what we ask for.
Okay, and one question, just being devil's advocate. Being this contract is going to be going out a while, and this is a sole source provider, and we have it because they're the ones that make what we need, and we've been very, it's all legit. The city attorney can weigh in any time to back that up or contradict me. If we find in the world events as they go on, this company may be deciding to be sold or go out of business, is there the opportunity in our mind that we can buy, take the entire amount we have and buy so we have those meters in stock for the new development? Or does that even think into the process?
So just so I understand what you're asking is, could we buy it in bulk if there was a change coming through? So one of the parts of our AMI project is that there's a 20-year guarantee on these. And so if a company does purchase them, they would have to honor that part of the contract. And so it's 10 years on the meters and then an additional 10 years on the batteries themselves. And so if they were to be purchased, that company that purchased them still has to honor that.
I think, to avoid putting you on the spot, which I'm not trying to do, if we could have the city attorney answer this. If the company comes on hard times and they're going to honor the contract, which I appreciate, but say they were to honor it with another brand of meters, would that other brand of meters work with the readers that we have?
She's the city attorney.
So, hi, Chair Perello, El McCarron, Assistant City Attorney. So it looks like your question is two parts. There's a technical aspect of it and a contract aspect. From the contract standpoint, What we would do is if this company were to go under, say, or they get bought out by another company, or they go through some sort of bankruptcy proceeding, whatever company would then, I guess, emerge and take them over would then have the contract assigned either through an assignment and assumption or a novation process. Those are two different ways where we would then take Badger's contract with the city and essentially move it over and make it the responsibility of the new vendor, and they would honor everything according to the terms of that contract. Now, when we get into technical things, if there's a new sort of meter that is available in the future, will it be compatible? I'm not really qualified to answer that. I think they might be able to come up with some, reasonable I guess replacements, something. I don't know if the water division can discuss that, but this is a company that's been around for quite some time. They're probably not going to go anywhere for the foreseeable future. And if they do, we have all sorts of resources available to us. And at the end of the day, we can't control what happens to a company in terms of their financial viability long term. There's always the option of litigation, which I would recommend as the last resort.
So in other words, we can feel comfortable that we've taken all the precautions we need to take going forward with this item in the minor chance that something goes wrong with the company that manufactures these things. The reason I ask, I know that we standardized all that we had, trying to make it so there wouldn't be 7 different meters and various parts and stuff, and one standardization. That's why I was asking the questions. I accept the answer you've given me, thank you. Do you have any further questions?
No additional question.
Okay. I'll make the recommendation to approve the item. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Councilor Belzman. Are there any comments on this item?
And Chair Perrello, there's no public speakers for this item.
Chair Perrello, can I just add something?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to the information that was provided for fees, just so we're clear on this. The fee process or the setting of those fees that developers pay is done through a council action process. So the question that was asked was about paying for those meters. Well, they pay the fees that were set at the time. And so it's not necessarily that it means they're paying the exact cost of that meter because it's set through that process. I want to make sure that that's clear. So we're not giving the contractor an invoice for that specific meter. They're paying the fee that the council has established for that process. And those fees are updated every so often through a different process. So I want to make sure that that's clear in terms of reimbursement, if you will.
It's a good point, yeah.
Thank you. I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
Please vote.
Second by Zaragoza.
Okay. Member Zaragoza?
Yes.
Member Valenzuela?
Aye.
Chair Perrello?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, Ms. McCarron. Thank you, Mr. Beeman, and thank you, Mr. Wolf. Next item on the agenda, D2. D2 is a rather long one, so bear with me. The Public Works Department. The subject, amend department-wide blanket purchase order for a not-to-exceed amount greater than $200,000 each. The recommendation, that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the purchasing agent to amend the purchase orders consistent with the city's purchasing requirements with the following vendors. I'm going to read each one of them. There's 14 vendors. Number 1, All-Star Fire Equipment Company for an additional $150,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount, $350,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 2, Amazon.com Services LLC for an additional $150,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $350,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 3, Applied Industrial Technology for an additional $100,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 4, Bauer Compressors Incorporated for an additional $250,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $450,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 5, Granger Incorporated for an additional $250,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $450,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 6, Hatch Company for an additional $135,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $285,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 7, Home Depot USA Incorporated for an additional $200,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $400,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 8, L.N. Curtis and Sons for an additional $250,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $450,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 9, Lowe's for an additional $250,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $450,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 10, O'Reilly for an additional $50,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $250,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 11, Office Depot Incorporated for an additional $100,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 12, Sunbelt Rentals Incorporated for an additional $125,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $325,000 through June 30th, 2025. Number 13, Ventura County Auto Supply, called Napa, for an additional $100,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 through June 30th, 2025. And number 14, Waxy Sanitary Supply Incorporated, doing business as Waxy Sanitary Supply, for an additional $150,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $350,000 through June 30th, 2025. There is a Measure M presentation. Unfortunately, there will not be a presentation at this time. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers on this item?
Chair Perrello, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. Fellow committee members, do you have any questions or concerns on this one?
Do you need a motion after all?
Do you need water?
What, any, well,
I have no question.
no questions? Okay, I have some questions. Take a breath here. Okay, the understanding, this is coming from the Public Works Department. It's a blanket order,
Yeah.
but there are several departments that specifically are not Public Works. And from the staff report, they were very clear about this. Well done staff report, the whole enchilada. All-Star Fire Equipment, Bauer Compressors Incorporated are simply fire department. L.N. Curtis and Sons is fire and police. The others are all the various departments in the city of Oxnard, including Public Works. And is that correct, Mr. Beeman?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The second one is just kind of funny and not funny. Having been burned once, I want to ask this question. We are doing the clothing for the fire department, and it talks about the outerwear. Does the fire department wear Nomex underwear? Do we buy underwear for them for the fire? And that's a serious question, having been burnt.
Without a fire department representative here, I'm not sure we can answer that
When
question.
it comes to council, I'll ask that question. So, getting burnt once is enough for anybody in their lifetime. And it says in the staff report on page 18, Public Works will work with finance to extend these purchase orders to all other departments, and you have. It's an impressive thing. And the one question I would have, if you could put it, say, maybe in plain English for the general public watching, why are there so many purchase orders at one time for so many various things? What is the rationale for that? And I know you'll explain it better than I would when I get asked in the grocery store.
So I'll answer that question. Public Works has $350 million operating budget, so this is a very small bucket of that annual operating budget. We do lots and lots of things in Public Works, buying specific parts, buying specific pieces. We have a purchasing policy that indicates that anything over $200,000 has to be approved through this process. And so what we're trying to do here is establish those approvals now so that when we have to buy those parts and pieces, we're not stuck with, oh, well, we can only buy so many because our authority is at $200,000. And so this represents, over time, the suppliers and manufacturers and parts manufacturers that we typically purchase quite a few pieces and parts from. You can see some very routine items on here, Home Depot, those kinds of things. And so the idea here is, instead of taking 14 different staff reports, which we could have done, we put them into one staff report. And so that's the reason why you're seeing them all together. We're bringing them together because they're the same process, if you will, where we are going beyond the staff allowed amount, and we're bringing it to council because council also has the authority to approve it above that staff amount. So it's really more about bundling together rather than doing 14 different staff reports.
And by bundling, we are able to get a better price on some,
So when I mean bundling, I mean not 14 different staff reports.
okay.
The fact that these manufacturers and suppliers have set rates, the fact that they are larger, like Home Depot, they already have built-in benefits in terms of bulk buying.
So for a novice, if I want to go buy one toilet bowl at Home Depot, it's got a price, but because we are a large volume buyer and we've extended our contract, we could possibly get a price difference?
That's not my understanding of these purchase orders. These are just purchase orders in terms of buying those products. We do have in other places when we go out, so you've seen here at the committee and council where we would go out with a bid process for Ferguson pipe supply. They will actually provide us in their bid response a discount for bulk.
Okay.
This is just a purchase order for items that are available through these companies. Now, they may provide us a bulk discount, but that's not the purpose of these purchase orders. The purpose of this purchase order is to go beyond the staff allowed 200,000. The budget's already there.
The 200,000.
Did I say something different? Sorry, 200,000. The budget's already there. Council's already approved the budget. Now we want to spend those dollars on these things, and now we want to make sure we have the authority to do that.
Mr. Chair, I think there's efficiencies there too, you don't have to be coming to the city council for all these items year round, and so you have it now where you can go buy them.
Right, it's an allowable process in our purchasing manual for this to happen, and so we're
Right.
doing it all together. Again, we could be doing 14 different staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think maybe the city attorney's office wants to say something.
Yeah, just briefly, Chair Perella, to go back to your first question, grouping all of these purchase orders together on one item satisfies the Brown Act requirements. These are all similar items, even though they're from different companies. It's a blanket purchase order for like goods that the city buys over and over and over again. And most of these are procured through a cooperative, which is something that a larger government agency or another type of government entity has gone out and procured and made deals with these various vendors. And so then we then hop into that cooperative and we issue purchase orders against it. Some of these may have different pricing than what the general public gets, and some of them may have very similar pricing. So this does fall into what we're allowed to do in terms of how we solicit and purchase our goods under our purchasing ordinance through a blanket purchase order and the use of cooperatives. So, and then for the separate thing, how it's all grouped together is fine for Brown Act purposes. It lets the public know all of the supplies we will be buying and the dollar amounts and how we obtain them through a cooperative agreement. Do you have any further questions on that?
No, thank you very much for the additional clarification. I appreciate the responses from Mr. Beaman, Mr. Wolf, and Ms. McCarron. Any further questions?
Need a
concerns?
motion to approve?
Recommendation?
Move the approval.
Second.
Please call the vote.
Member Valenzuela?
Aye.
Member Zaragoza?
Aye.
Chair Perello?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Next item on the agenda, number 3, D3. The subject agreement 325-00106 with UniFirst Corporation for uniform rental and laundry services for Public Works. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with UniFirst Corporation for an additional 3-year term from November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2027, with the option for 2 consecutive 1-year period extensions ending October 31st, 2029, for a total amount not to exceed $1,090,000 for uniform rental and laundry service for various city departments utilizing Sourcewell contract number 011124-UFC. There is a video presentation with Measure M. There will not be a presentation here. but there will be an opportunity to ask questions. I believe Mr. Yanis, yes. Are there any public comments on this item?
Chair Perrello, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, and I just want to clarify to the board and to the yesterday audience, I probably should have held my fireproof underwear question to this section of the report, but it's with the other one too. So go ahead. Any questions?
No, I just looking at that, we provide uniforms for water, wastewater, parks, facilities, fleet maintenance, and fire. So quite a few departments and divisions. Brian?
Chair, committee members, Mayor, yes, that is correct. Brian Yanis, Assistant Public Works Director. Yes, uniforms are provided for various departments. Fire department is on this UniFirst agreement just specifically for their mats at their fire stations. They get uniforms through other means.
Oh, okay. And this is required through our MOUs, to make sure that they have the proper uniforms and so forth.
Yes, through various MOUs, through different unions, uniforms are provided for these employees. And most of the rentals that we're asking for approval tonight is those that really need laundered, depending on their responsibilities, their duties on a day-to-day basis. For environmental resources, they're dealing with trash. Our street guys, our asphalt, water guys, they're dealing with chemicals. So, we don't want our employees taking these uniforms home. So they're professionally laundered. They leave them there. They get new ones on a daily basis. And that company assures us that they're in good conditions. There's no wear and tear. So our employees have clean, nice uniforms on a regular basis.
And Brian, you said, even right here, it says that those employees that are exposed to heavy oil, solvents, chemicals, and other materials are performing their daily duties, which it's important to them, and they don't want to take that material home either. Which is
right, our mechanics, dealing
mechanics,
with the heavy equipment, our refuse vehicles.
That's right.
So, yes.
Thank you, sir.
The company that we're doing business with, the main headquarters is in Virginia. But when these materials are taken and laundered, where do they go? Is it local? And if we know, we know, and if we don't, I don't need that. But
I actually don't know the physical address, but I don't know if they're located in Oxnard, but they come to us. So they got to be pretty close to our facilities.
The other question that I have, I appreciate the employees having the clothing laundered by the employer. Having had a job once where that was not the case, my wife was not thrilled to death when I came home and washed stuff in the washing machine. That didn't go over well. And so it keeps domestic bliss at a good level. And it's good for the employees, especially as you mentioned, some of them are chemicals. We don't want them mixing up. The identified in the staff report, as a thorough staff report, there are issues where fluorescent materials or striping is used on some of the clothing. When do we have a methodology where we will eventually get everybody that potentially could work at night that's going to have that on their clothing? Today I was at Eastwood Park and I saw a lot of the city employees. It was a break time and they were there and they had and it really sticks out. It's great. And I don't want any employees hurt. But do we have any rational or thought, or is that a union deal?
So some of those employees choose those uniforms. Environmental Resource has the reflective, Fleet has reflective material on them. But most of the time, for example, streets, they're using a reflective vest, as well as our Environmental Resources. They have to get out of the vehicle. They're equipped with reflective vests. But some of these uniforms do have some on their sleeves, on their chest, as seen on the PowerPoint presentation that was provided per Measure M.
Again, appreciate the thing. You've got clothing, you've got employees. The one question I will have, in a different city's thrift store, I've seen clothing from other cities in the thrift store for sale. If the employees are assigned clothing, are they responsible to turn them back? Or, because it indicates here, lost material, lost items and stuff, there is a charge.
So through our rental program, yes, if we lose our uniform will be charged for that uniform. Vice versa, if the uniform company loses the uniform, we're not charged. But you probably see someone that works, maybe an admin person that, you know, was given 2 polo shirts or purchased an extra polo shirt or a jacket, left their city or the municipality they work for, put it in a bag and gave it to Goodwill. So
Okay, so that is their own personal property, it's not city property, okay.
that's usually the case.
And there's, just sort of for giggles, it was funny because I'd always seen them. Anybody that uses, anybody that's a human being and has to use the facilities, do we actually have a price for what are called toilet seat covers? And we can buy them in packs of $2.50. And I was, price per unit, $3.72. It's money well spent. And I hope that we keep, and it's funny, the dispenser's a little expensive, but I appreciate the detail that you've gotten into on this. And I wanted to share that with you. And it obviously wasn't as funny as I thought it was, so, okay. Okay. Any further questions?
Move the recommended action.
No speakers?
Boom, okay. There's no other speakers, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perrella, no, there's no speakers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Motion to approve?
There was already,
A second.
okay. Please call for the vote.
Member Zaragoza?
Yes.
Member Valenzuela?
Aye.
Chair Perrella?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, one thing under items on future agendas. Do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I would like to request, and this may be the committee to do it, it may not, but the dumping on Patterson Road between Teal Club and Doris has on occasion been rather heavy. And it's most likely, I have no proof, most likely residents of Oxnard. With enough pressure being applied to Ventura County, they put up photographic equipment. Can we get a report back if they caught anybody? What's the outcome on that? And I do appreciate that they may have already given it, but I think letting the public know that somebody got caught and then maybe a little further, what's a fine? Maybe it'll teach some people not to dump the garbage in their own city. That's my only. Public Works Director, do you have any comments? Or I want to thank.
We'll check on that information,
I
report
want to
back.
thank all the Public Works people that are here. Thank you very much for your work, and thank you for being here tonight. Good job. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.